Welcome to the channel. Today, we're diving into the 2011 action fantasy Priest. The story kicks off at the Sola Mira Hive, where a group of elite priests is closing in. Once inside, a warrior named Black Hat senses a trap, but the leader, Priest, insists they follow orders to locate the queen. The mission goes south instantly. Shadows pull the team underground. As they reach the exit, Priest is forced to watch as Black Hat is dragged back into the darkness. In this world, vampires aren't folklore. They've been at war with humanity for eons. The conflict turned the planet into a wasteland, forcing survivors into walled cities governed by an iron-fisted church. To win, the church developed the ultimate living weapons, the priests. These warriors were trained specifically for vampire genocide, and were so effective they nearly wiped out the threat. With the remaining vampires relegated to reservations, the church, fearing the priests' power, disbanded the order. Now, these former heroes live in poverty and obscurity, forgotten by a society that thinks the danger is gone. Years later, out in the wasteland, Owen, Priest's brother, is testing soil for radiation, hoping to start a farm. His daughter, Lucy, returns from town, sparking a heated argument with Owen about the dangers of living in such a remote outpost. The family's bickering is cut short when the ground begins to tremble. Owen realizes a pack of vampires is descending on their home. He rushes his wife Shannon and Lucy to a hiding spot, telling Lucy to stay silent no matter what happens. From her hiding place, Lucy listens in horror as her parents are brutally attacked. The hatch to her cellar is eventually pulled open by a terrifying figure. Cut to Cathedral City, a massive metropolis where the church rules through constant surveillance and religious propaganda. The church's motto is simple: to go against the church is to go against God. We see Priest living a grim, solitary life. He visits an automated confessional where a digital Monsignor listens to his sins. Priest confesses to recurring nightmares about the war and his failure to save Black Hat. He admits his faith is wavering. The machine offers generic platitudes about sacrifice and labor as penance. On his way home, Priest is approached by Hicks, a wasteland sheriff and Lucy's boyfriend. Hicks delivers the grim news. Owen is wounded, Shannon is dead, and Lucy has been abducted by vampires. He begs the legendary vampire hunter for help. Priest seeks an audience with the ruling clergy, led by Monsignor Aurelius. He requests his authority be reinstated to track the hive. Aurelius laughs him off, insisting that vampires are extinct and the attack was likely just wasteland bandits. Aurelius orders Priest to stand down, fearing that acknowledging a vampire threat would undermine the church's image of absolute safety. He threatens Priest with excommunication if he breaks his vows to stay within the city. Meanwhile, on a high-speed train, Lucy is held captive in a cage. She's confronted by a mysterious figure in a black hat. She warns him that her uncle is a priest and will come for her, which is exactly what the villain is counting on. Back in the city, Monsignor Chamberlain tries to reason with Priest, but the decision is final. Priest realizes the church values its control more than the lives of its citizens. He decides to go rogue. In a brief, brutal skirmish, Priest takes out the church guards sent to stop him. He gathers his specialized weaponry, uncovers his high-tech vessel, motorcycle, and rides out into the forbidden wasteland. Priest reaches the ruins of Owen's homestead and finds Hicks waiting. They visit a dying Owen who laments that he couldn't protect his family because he lacked Priest's gift. With his final breath, Owen makes Priest a promise to rescue Lucy and kill every vampire involved. Hicks demands to join the hunt. Priest tests him and Hicks proves his skill by splitting a bullet mid-air with a knife. Priest agrees, but warns Hicks that the journey will be a suicide mission. Back in Cathedral City, the church activates a cleanup squad, including the skilled priestess, to hunt down the rogue priest and bring him back dead or alive. At the homestead, Priest finds tracks that don't belong to vampires or their familiars, humans who worship vampires in hopes of being turned. Priest interrogates a familiar, threatening to expose a vampire to the sun unless he reveals Lucy's location. A fight breaks out as a group of familiars attacks. Priest dispatches them easily, but the sun finally dips below the horizon. From the shadows, the true vampires emerge from their coffins, surrounding the duo. Priest uses a hollowed-out Bible to hide his throwing stars, killing several vampires in a flurry of silver. One vampire lets out a chilling, unnatural scream and retreats, signaling that these creatures are evolving. The surviving familiar mocks Priest, telling him he's too late. The trail leads west, towards the Sola Mira hive. Priest gives Hicks a crash course in vampire biology. They don't move like humans, so you have to shoot where they're going to be. Meanwhile, Black Hat is visited by a wasteland merchant, who tries to sell him info. Black Hat isn't interested in a transaction. He drinks the man's blood, turning him into a familiar servant. Priestess is now hot on Priest's trail, arriving at the outpost. Somewhere in the desert, Priest and Hicks bond over their shared mission. Priest bluntly warns Hicks, if Lucy has been turned into a vampire, he will kill her immediately. They reach the massive derelict Sola Mira hive. As they enter, Priest is haunted by flashbacks of the massacre years ago. He heads into the deep tunnels, telling Hicks to stay topside and kill anything that moves. Deep in the hive, Priest is ambushed, not by a vampire, but by Priestess. She reveals she was sent to capture him, but chose to help instead. Their reunion is cut short by the sound of Hicks fighting for his life. They find Hicks facing a hive guardian, a massive eyeless beast. After a coordinated struggle, Priest and Priestess bring the monster down, and Hicks delivers the finishing shot. Priestess warns Hicks that Priest is a man of his word. If Lucy's infected, he won't spare her. She then confesses to Priest that she never stopped thinking about him after the war ended, but the mission comes first. The trio discovers a horrifying secret. The hive isn't empty, it's being used to house a massive new army. The vampires have built a specialized train to transport their forces directly into the heart of the human cities. They find the train has already hit the town of Jericho. The town is a graveyard. Priest finds the bodies of the other 3 priests the church sent after him, all brutally murdered. Priest realizes the plan. The vampires are using the rail system to bypass the city walls. While the church thinks the war is over, the vampires have been planning a blitzkrieg. On the train, Black Hat tries to enlighten Lucy. He explains that he views vampires as pure beings and intends to wash the world clean. He also reveals a shocking secret. He was the priest that Priest failed to save years ago, now transformed into something new. Priestess gives Priest an experimental explosive, and they prepare for a final assault on the train. Hicks confronts Priest, demanding he promise not to kill Lucy. Priestess intervenes, revealing the truth. Lucy isn't just Owen's daughter, she's actually Priest's biological daughter, given to Owen for her own safety. The assault begins. Priestess heads for the tracks to plant explosives, while Priest and Hicks board the moving train. On the roof, Priest finally faces Black Hat, who has been turned into a human-vampire hybrid by the Queen. Black Hat is faster and stronger than a normal priest. He mocks Priest, offering him a chance to join the new order. Meanwhile, Priestess fights off a horde of familiar riders in a high-speed chase, eventually losing her detonator and having to improvise. Inside the train, Hicks finds Lucy but is pinned down by vampires. Priest smashes through the roof to help. Hicks uses his gun to blow holes in the ceiling, letting in the morning sun to incinerate the attackers. The fight moves back to the roof. Black Hat stabs Priest and prepares to turn Lucy, but Priestess executes her plan. She rigs her motorcycle with explosives and sends it crashing into the train engine. Priest grabs Lucy and jumps just as the train detonates in a massive fireball, wiping out the vampire army and Black Hat. The trio stands among the wreckage, battered but alive. Priest returns to Cathedral City one last time. He walks into a mass, throws a severed vampire head at Monsignor Aurelius's feet, and warns him that the war hasn't ended, it's just beginning. He meets Priestess at the city gates, and they ride out together to find the Queen.